Welcome to Hardly. The book is distilled into 3 stories, giving you the key ideas in minutes. Today, we study together Kieran Setiya's Midlife, a philosophical guide in which we probe into finding value beyond personal happiness, the weight of missed opportunities, navigating time and mortality. Kieran Setiya is Professor of Philosophy at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Don't go away. Hurdley, the editor, will be right back with the story. Today, we're diving into 3 profound stories that reflect on life's deeper meanings, from the emptiness of personal achievement to the pang of missed chances, and the heavy realization that time is slipping by. It begins with a man in his mid-30s, successful by any traditional standard, steady job, supportive family, and a promising future. But one evening, after a long day of work, he paused to ask himself, suppose all my goals were realized, would this bring me happiness? His answer, much to his surprise, was a resounding no. Success hadn't brought him joy. Instead, it left him feeling hollow, as if the act of achieving was devoid of meaning. The crux of his crisis wasn't about failing to achieve, it was about what those achievements truly meant to him. Those only are happy who have their minds fixed on some object other than their own happiness. To solve this, he found he needed to stop focusing on happiness itself. It wasn't the end goal. Instead, immersing himself in meaningful activities, things that mattered beyond his personal gain, allowed happiness to creep in unexpectedly. He began mentoring younger colleagues, not for the recognition, but for the fulfillment of seeing them grow. If your own goals feel empty, perhaps shifting focus to something larger than yourself will create the depth you've been missing. But what about the paths not taken? Another story follows a woman in her mid-40s who felt trapped. She had chosen a steady career early on, bypassing a dream of becoming an artist. Now, with her children growing older and more independent, she felt the weight of her decision more than ever. Her paintings, long tucked away in an attic, called to her as a reminder of the life she hadn't pursued. The feeling of being confined by her own choices was suffocating. There is the sense of confinement in one's present life, however happy it may be, the acknowledgement of lost alternatives, and this haunted her daily. This realization, however, did not have to be a curse. She could still find fulfillment in her current life while making peace with the roads not taken. Instead of focusing on what she missed, she found value in her ability to blend her current life with her passions. She started painting again, initially just as a hobby, but eventually more seriously. By embracing her past choices while allowing herself space for creativity now, she learned that it's never too late to reconnect with abandoned dreams. In our own lives, we can carry our regrets, but not let them define us. There's often room to rekindle those old flames. As she began painting again, the 3rd story introduces a man in his 50s, coming to terms with mortality. He had always been focused on the future, planning for retirement, savings, and the next big vacation. But one day, after learning a close friend had passed away, he was gripped by the realization that life, as he knew it, was finite. Time wasn't an endless resource. There is the sense of time passed by or running out, awareness of mortality. Suddenly, his plans for the future seemed distant and irrelevant. He had to face the present for the first time in years. Instead of falling into despair, he found a way to live in the moment, an idea that felt unfamiliar at first, but became a necessity. He began to slow down, savoring daily experiences that he had once overlooked. It wasn't about giving up his plans for the future, but about balancing them with the present. There is always time to plan, but if we miss the moments that matter now, what good are those plans in the end? He learned that life wasn't just about what's ahead, but also about embracing what's here today. As the stories intertwine, we see that each of these individuals faces a common dilemma: how to live a life that feels meaningful, not just productive. Whether it's finding happiness in the journey, making peace with missed opportunities, or confronting the reality of time slipping by, the solution isn't always to change one's circumstances. Instead, it's about how we choose to view them. The first man found fulfillment by shifting his focus beyond himself. The second woman reconciled her regrets by blending her present with her past dreams. And the third man found peace by living more fully in the present. Together, their stories remind us that fulfillment isn't something to achieve or chase. It's something to cultivate moment by moment. In your own life, if success feels hollow, consider what truly matters to you outside of personal gain. If missed opportunities are weighing you down, ask yourself what you can do now to rekindle those passions. And if the passing of time feels too overwhelming, take a moment to breathe in the present, as it's the only thing we're truly promised. As the editor of Hardly, through learning these stories, we can look beyond the rush of achievements and failures and focus instead on creating a life that feels rich with meaning, even in the everyday. Each story comes from the most representative real-life cases selected by the Hardly team from this book. There are 15 more equally insightful stories waiting in its pages. If you wish to dive deeper, we recommend purchasing the full book. Finally, share a sentence from the book to end today's reading. You have more time than you think. Don't be fooled by the foreshortening of time that accompanies middle age. As we reflect on the key ideas from the book, let's turn to one more unforgettable story, a fitting closure to our exploration of midlife's deep questions. A man in his early 60s had always been driven by a desire for recognition. Throughout his career, he strove for promotions and accolades, believing they would grant him a lasting sense of accomplishment. Yet, upon reaching retirement, he felt a lingering emptiness. The awards on his shelf meant little now, and the future he had spent years striving toward felt suddenly hollow. He realized that his achievements, though valuable at the time, had never filled the emotional void he was carrying. One afternoon, while helping his granddaughter with a school project, something shifted. The simple act of sharing knowledge, of watching her grow in understanding, gave him a feeling he hadn't known before, a quiet but profound contentment. It was then he recognized that true fulfillment came not from accolades, but from the connections we build and the legacy we leave behind. This realization stayed with him, offering a new perspective on the importance of everyday moments. His story reminds us of the book's overarching truths: finding value beyond personal success, accepting life's missed chances, and embracing the fleeting nature of time. Each moment can hold meaning if only we learn to see it. By taking these lessons to heart, we can live more consciously, choosing paths that nourish us beyond our ambitions. The challenges of midlife are universal, but so are the possibilities for growth.